What's good, guys? If you're new to the channel, my name's Jay. Today I'm going to be comparing Facebook versus Google stock. I'm not calling it Alphabet, like bro, it's Google. Like no one's going to say go Alphabet it. That was so not funny. Oh my. Moving on though, I thought that these two would be the best two comparisons if you're looking to invest in big tech companies whose main source of revenue is advertising. With Facebook having Instagram and Facebook and Google having YouTube and Google search, I know that you guys have used at least one of them because you're using one right now. But right now I'm recording this video on a Sunday, so the market's closed, but the price of Facebook is $261.24, with its market cap being almost $745 billion. While at the same time, Google is sitting at a price of just over $1,500 and its market cap is $1.025 trillion. But a lot of investors are really hoping that big companies like Google and Amazon split their stock to make it a little bit more affordable for retail investors and people just who don't have enough money to buy $1,000 per share for a stock. But that is one thing that Google has over Facebook, because I don't think that Facebook really needs to split their stock, and I don't think they really have plans to do that either way. But when it comes down to the overall growth of both of these companies, Google is expected to grow as you'd probably expect. Like, it's Google. When are they ever not growing? In my opinion, they're one of the only companies that have really not been afraid to be different and do something different with their company. But they're expected to grow by 6% for this year, which is pretty slow for Google, but we have a once-in-a-lifetime disease on the loose, so that's obviously going to affect your company in some way, no matter what type of company you are. But they're also expected to grow by about 20.5% next year when everyone expects a vaccine to be out and everything to be somewhat back to normal. On the other side, though, Facebook is growing faster. I'm not going to say they're growing faster by a lot, because when you look at how much they're supposed to grow by for next year, they're only beating Google by 3%. This year though, Facebook's expected to deal with the Rona pretty well, with the expected revenue growth percentage being over double Google's, with Facebook growing at 13%. And this is with all these other big companies boycotting their ad platform. On top of the growth Facebook is expected to have, they also have been investing in their company a lot more, introducing things like their platform to help small businesses and their gaming service that they've actually introduced earlier than expected. But it just worked out better to do it earlier just because everyone was already inside during the shutdown in March. But Google does have platforms like YouTube, which is only going to get bigger with more and more people watching and more creators joining the platform, creating ad revenue for them. But they also have Google Cloud, which is still continuing to grow more than YouTube, actually bringing in $2.8 billion in revenue in Q1 to $3 billion in Q2. So when it comes down to who's growing more, I'm going to give this one to Facebook. It also makes way more sense that they'd grow more, seeing that Google is worth over $300 billion more than Facebook. Next up though, we got their Yahoo stats. If you go onto Yahoo and look at their statistics, Google has a trailing P of 33 and a forward P of 35.5. While Facebook has a forward P of 33 and a trailing P of basically 32. But Facebook's profit margins are actually much better than Google's, with Facebook's being at 31%, meaning they're turning more of their revenues into actual profit than Google,
I like money,
whose profit margins is just under 19%. And I'm not giving them that 19% either. I'm not biased towards Facebook or Google. I actually don't own any of these stocks, although I would love to own both. In this segment though, I'm so tempted to give it a tie, but Facebook does have better profit margins and they're valued cheaper than Google, so I guess I have to give this one to Facebook. The last segment though is their balance sheet, and we'll get started with Facebook. As of the end of Q2, Facebook's holding on to $58 billion in cash and cash equivalents, which is about 8% of the total value of the business. And with all that cash on hand, they only have $10.5 billion of total debt, so they could basically pay off that debt tomorrow and forget that the money's gone. Okay, I'm actually kidding. Like, don't click off the video. I'm kidding. They definitely should not be doing that. But when you look at Google's though, oh lord. Yep, they have arguably the best balance sheet in the world. They won. I don't care. I don't care. There's no way that there's no way you could say that Facebook's balance sheet is better than Google's. I don't care. Google won this part. Yes, they have over $5.5 billion more in debt than Facebook, but they have over double Facebook's cash. Yes, double Facebook's cash on hand at $121 billion. And now that I think about it, that really makes me think that it's some type of error or something. Like, that cash to debt ratio is insane. But if there were to be a balance sheet where they could pay off the debt and just forget that the money's gone, it'd be this one. Anyways, that's the last segment of this video. The total score is Facebook 2, Google 1. But if you made it this far in the video, please feel free to hit that like and subscribe button. Also, don't forget to comment down below which of these two stocks would you rather have. Without that being said, I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace.
bye.